Hey folks, this is Mike Untitled Solar. Today we're going to talk about the value that solar brings to a real estate transaction. At the end of the day, solar is not going anywhere. Like I said previously, the horse and buggy are gone, the car is here, the typewriter is gone, the computer is here. Soon, electricity production will change drastically, and solar power is here. The demand is through the roof. Your clients want solar. Real estate transactions are going to have solar as part of the mix more and more and more every day. At the end of the day, solar has really only been a big thing in Florida for about 7 or 8 years now. And as these houses start to get sold that have solar on the roof, there are a lot of questions that are popping up. There's also a lot of misinformation that's out there, and we want to kind of put to rest some of that. And there's a lot of good information that's out there that can serve you, whether you're on the buyer side or the seller side. Solar is ultimately going to be a benefit to whoever you're representing. So let's talk about solar today in this video, and let's dig right in. Okay, so we're going to dig right in. We're going to talk about the inherent benefits that solar power, solar PV electricity will bring to a residential home here in the state of Florida. Before we do that, I want to talk for just a minute about the economics of solar in general. So a typical solar system is going to carry a payback period of between 7 to 8 years. That means that initial investment will be recouped through savings on your electricity bill, your utility bill, between 7 and 8 years. And this is on equipment that is warranted to produce power for at least 25 years. So we're making our money back in 8 years, and we're producing power for at least 25 years, and the reality is much, much longer than that. The solar system is going to see an average internal rate of return of about 11 to 14%. An average increase in resale value is what we're going to talk about today, and that should be somewhere around 4.6% here in the state of Florida. Additionally, there is cooling costs that are involved. Solar panels will ultimately absorb a lot of that heat, which is otherwise getting trapped in the attic, and then turning that sunlight into photons, which ultimately become electricity. And then, of course, solar is going to act as a hedge against inflation. It is a fixed asset. So in the inflationary environment, as inflation goes up and the value of the dollar goes down, a fixed asset such as solar, which is producing power on a daily basis, can be a hedge against inflation. The bottom line is solar adds value. Whether you are the buyer or whether you are the seller, there is tremendous value in solar PV on your rooftop. There is a very easily quantifiable value of how much your solar system can save you versus how much you would otherwise be paying on electricity from the utility company. And don't take my word for it. These are big names that have all come together and agreed that yes, that solar power does add value. We're going to talk about 2 of these today, but there are reports out there available from Forbes, from Architectural Digest, from Zillow, and from the National Renewable Energy Lab. So let's quantify it. How much value are we actually talking about? The National Renewable Energy Lab, which is a part of the Department of Energy, averages $20 for every $1 saved in electricity cost annually. So what that means, if we save $200 a month on our power bill, that's $2,400 a year, which is a $48,000 increase in our resale value on our house. It's important to note that although the resale value goes up, the actual taxable value will stay the same. In Florida, we have a tax abatement saying that you cannot be taxed for additional property value if it is a result of the solar system increasing the value of the property. And then the Zillow report, which we're going to talk about in a second, shows a 4.6% average in resale value. Here's the report from Zillow. The average resale value across the country is 4.1% increase, and in Florida, as you can see on the second bar there, we're a little bit more than the rest of the country, where we have an average of 4.6% increase in resale value. So 4.6% of the existing property value will now be increased, the existing property value will now be increased by 4.6% as a result of putting solar electricity on the roof. Aesthetics. I understand that one of the biggest concerns about solar in the past is how they look. And I'll be the first to admit, like, this system here is very ugly. At the end of the day, we've gotten away from, first of all, I did not build that system, for the record. We've gotten away from the black on silver panels for the most part, those bus bars that you can see where it's kind of got a micro, or like a little grid check pattern to it. Those panels are over with. We use black on black panels nowadays. The silver steel frames you rarely see anymore. And we're also working along with architects nowadays, so we don't have those stacks and those pipes and those vents that are in the way that allow us to create now more of an aesthetic, or excuse me, a contiguous, aesthetically pleasing design, rather than having to work our way around all the panels and all the vents that are on the roof. Here's an example of an aesthetically pleasing system. Yes, this client did have one stack on the east side of the roof there, but for the most part, what you see is black on black panels, nice, crisp, clean, square edges. You basically have one big square on the front and one big rectangle on the back. The way we build at our company, we are diehard advocates of as aesthetically pleasing systems as humanly possible. Here's another example of just a very aesthetically pleasing system. It's basically a big square. We obviously cut 2 panels off there because we didn't have enough panels to fulfill the design, but that's a pretty good looking design. It's crisp, it's clean, it's easy, it's black on black, and it's generally appealing to the eye. The other point that I would make is luxury homes are turning to solar more and more every day. Give or take 50% of our overall business is within luxury homes. It is becoming the new thing that you have to have on on luxury homes, and that eventually will trickle its way down to the rest of the market, even though it mostly already has. So for those of you interested in luxury homes, you've got to wrap your head around how solar is going to add value and how to present that value to your buyer. Again, this is new construction, and solar was a must-have for this particular client. Now, these panels are hidden behind a parapet wall, so you can't actually see them from the ground, and so we did use the silver frames on these. But again, if this was something that we put on that top standing seam roof there, it would be a black on black, and it would be a nice square design. Another thing we can do is integrate solar tile and solar shingle into the re-roof or into the new construction. These panels are a little bit less efficient for sure, but they can integrate right in and almost blend directly into the roof where you can hardly even tell that they're there. And then when it comes to new construction and architecture, we're actually going to do a whole different slideshow on this and a different presentation on this. But these are just some of the things that we can do when it comes to new construction. We can hide that conduit. We can integrate into the into the electrical panel. We can have influence on how the roof is going to be laid out and designed. We can get our footers into the roof before the roof actually goes in. We can have input on the load distribution, and we can build battery backup systems right out of the gates when we're talking about new construction. So a lot of good things can happen with new construction, but retrofit is perfectly fine as well. Just a little bit about me. I've been in the solar industry for 17 years here in the state of Florida. These are the various nonprofits that I've worked with, either as president of the board member, executive director, or just lowly servant serving the overall industry. These groups take the concerns of the real estate industry very serious, and that's why we have worked very diligently over the years to make sure that everything we're doing is adding as much value as humanly possible and causing as little headaches as humanly possible to the real estate industry. So if you have any questions, let us be your resource. You have a client that you want to bring in, let us talk to your client on existing. Let us talk to your buyer. If there's an existing solar system there, if you have a client who's interested in solar, by all means bring us in. And if you just have questions, how does this work? What's the deal with the financing? Whatever it is, give us a call and use us as a resource. We take a great deal of pride in making sure that everybody involved in the industry and everybody involved in the transaction related to solar is knowledgeable. And to the extent we can help you become knowledgeable, we'd like to do that. So please look us up, and thanks for watching this video today.